We're live on the Rich Lieberman Bay Area Media Pulse as I kind of make myself a little bit more in the middle here. Look, I don't want to sound sanctimonious. Um, by saying that, I'm already sanctimonious. Um, more and more people are watching me, which doesn't give me anything monetarily. I bring that up because for some of you, being like me is perhaps therapeutic. Point being that all the flaws that we all have, some of us have more than others, is maybe good for some of you that know that if you're in a rut, you can always get out of it. If I can do it, which I can't for now, then you can do it because you have support mechanisms like family or kids or a daily life where you consume the news and the media and you're interested in all of this stuff. But I'm digressing. I'll get to my main point here in a second. So I'm selfish here, folks. I've said this a few times now. I do this as maybe an homage, not just to myself, but to my late mother, who I wish she was around to watch me. And she was kind of tough to talk to in terms of accomplishments. I don't mean literally, but that kind of a thing aside, she would have been proud and chuckled every now and then and told me that you're all right, kid. She did that, like all good mothers, and most mothers are good, and fathers too, to some degree. But in any event, I, how can I put this? Like, I consume the news and I consume communications. I very much of a complainer, as you all know, about our current state of media. It's not just in the Bay Area. The Bay Area happens to be one of the real tough situations with all the malaise in TV, the malaise in radio, even the internet, streams, all of that. April is not a good month too. It's what they call April is the cruelest month. Again, I don't remember who said that, but I'm trying to do the best job possible. Many of you said, don't torture yourself. Just get lost, basically, without saying so, or do something different. Talk about your life. That would be quite tragic. Um, I like analyzing and talking about media matters, whether it's some scoops. Not all the scoops are going to be great, like the earlier broadcasts today about layoffs. I'm not some happy go lucky me having to talk about layoffs. I've been laid off, I've been fired before from a media job. It's no fun. So I don't wish that on anybody, even the most, downright assholes out there, which there are plenty. They probably think the same of me. But I don't go around wanting to hurt anybody. And I say that obviously physically and mentally. What's getting harder though is the people that lecture me about don't doing shows, being gone for 3 days, and you don't have this right or that right, and telling me what I should do and what I shouldn't do, and some basically telling me also to drop dead and go f off, and see, I don't swear just to swear. That's another thing. I hate these. I was going to say broadcasters. We're podcasters. Everybody's doing a podcast now. Shit, the Pope, I think, is going to do a podcast. It's no grant of valor that we're all doing these podcasts. We have Schmendricks doing podcasts. Some of you might be saying, "Oh, go look in the mirror." Okay, and that's just my point about this broadcast. I think for the most part, I give you information most of the time. When I do give you information, and I'm not opining or reporting anything that you're not going to get anywhere else. I've said this a million times. Like I've said this a million times, a million times. Nobody covers the media here. We have alleged newspapers and internet sites like SF Gate and SF Chronicle and the Mercury News. And, I can't think of anything else. I know there's a few outside internet sites that reportedly offer news, but nobody covers media. And yes, you might say, well, you insult more than you report. That would be true. That would be true because I see every day and listen to when I'm not involved with a cold or something happening, the shit that you guys have to endure. I put myself out there too. I'm not saying that you guys, meaning I'm outside of that, but I just get disgusted and angry. Let me get to something paramount here. Comments. This is very important. I, by definition, censor comments. Of course I do. I'm not going to publish, let me get this straight. I'm not going to publish comments, and I appreciate all the attention, including the trolls. I'm not going to publish shit that's supposed to be funny and zany and you think you're clever. I know most of who you are. But then there are people, those are the trolls, and they have no life. It's the people that have a life that lecture me and say I censor. I do. This is not a democracy here. This is a dictatorship. Because I am the only schmuck, the only fucking putz in the world who even every now and then, I don't mind criticism. If it's constructive, if it's something, even if it's personal, but if it's public and you ID yourself, you make it clear who you are, I might and have published comments that are insulting and infuriating to me. But by and large, most of these comments are hurtful, they're disturbing, yet sometimes I still publish them. I'm a complete mother effing idiot. That's what makes this harder. I am trying to be, before entertaining, informative. I do this because I once worked in an environment, I got a job or two early on in my life. I'm not out trying to get jobs anymore. I couldn't be hired. They wouldn't hire me. I'm not interested. I don't want to work. Never have applied for a job at KCBS, nor would I. Not in today's environment, or KNBR. And I'm critical because I remember in my formulative years, it was magical. Even the flawed people were creative, had some element of just plain half, three-quarters of a brain. But back to the comments. No, I'm not going to publish every comment. I don't give a shit if you're on Reddit, a gossip site. It's the internet age where every fucking, not even a rumor, hits the internet and it has its own foundation, its own life form. I'm not going to publish comments about me that are of ill repute. What? I may be a moron, but I'm not a stupid moron. And I've had people tell me, those things you wrote about when you were writing, which I used to do because of an eye situation, I talk now. It's easier. And while vision is not always great, I just can't write as much as I would love to write because I love writing. But the thing about comments, when they're insulting and they're hurtful, And when they make fun of and lampoon and besmirch my late mother, you got to be sicker than you're not human to do things like that. I know I'm proselytizing here and I'm beating a dead horse because the internet makes it so goes the thought process. The internet is responsible for these repulsive animals. They're not human because human beings wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I don't do it anyway. And I'm not saying that to be sanctimonious and holier than thou. Oh, of course you're not going to say something about kids or about this, that. People's kids. I don't go there, never have, unless they make themselves the story, which has happened in this market of late. They hire their kids. It's nepotism alley. Well, that's fair game as long as they're in their, formative years, 20s, 30s, whatever. But it's getting harder to do this, and I keep doing it because I know a lot of you have told me, and I'm not saying this to be righteous, that you appreciate my work. It's not really work. There's another thing. People who call it work. It's an adulation. It's a love of the medium, which used to be a lot more prevalent with good people, capable people, people who had news acumen or entertainment choreography, who worked and dealt with and had real life experiences with the medium. I used to tell, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite? So people said Star Wars, Maltese Falcon. My favorite movie, this is something out of left field, was All the President's Men. And not because it went after Nixon or whether it was Repub, Democrat. There's another thing I'm going to talk about pretty soon. This whole left, right, liberal shit that we all have to endure. All the President's Men was about as fine and entertaining as all hell movie. Watch it. It is so good. I've seen it countless times. The acting, the little nuances, the scenes in the Washington Post newsroom, which were real, by the way, when they had manual telephones and typewriters and secretaries and news hounds and reporters and telephones ringing and real teletype and people, great actors like Jason Robarbs and Robert Redford and Jane Sullivan, Dustin Hoffman, and just the whole thing. It was such a big deal, was Watergate. I was 10 years old when Watergate took place, 1972. But the story is so engrossing. And the movie, if you haven't seen All the President's Men, go to your YouTube and get it. I think you have to pay if you don't have an account. It's like $3.99. Worth it. Watch it. Everybody, Martin Balsam, Jack Warden, Ned Beatty. It's great. And I wish we had movies like that today. I wish we had culture like that today. And I say culture, I don't mean the story of what took place in All the President's Men. I'm talking about ethics and morals and culture and all of that. And it gets harder and harder to do this. I don't mean like I'm, lifting weights, carrying crates outside. I'm talking about just the comments get more and more ridiculous. I used to have a lot better comments. And when I have more substantive reporting to do, those of you that offer good comments, even if criticism evokes to me, you at least have thought out what you're right and not done some stupid shit. And it's time wasting. And some of the insults are, look, I've insulted people, but it's within the frame of a story. I could get very negative, but as I said many a times, I don't involve family. I don't go there unless the family is put in the masthead, made to be public. That's another story. But, and here's my selfish points. I constantly, yeah, I do, and I don't regret doing this. I don't get paid on clicks or comments. I could publish a whole hell of a lot of comments, which is another fake way. Some of these people that are doing these shows, some of whom have been fired by various radio stations or TV stations. I do not get paid on clicks. I don't get paid on what I call clickbait. Put up stupid stories. Occasionally, I'll go off topic and give you a background of certain things, a little fresh air, my own personal fresh air. Don't get a nickel, a dime, a penny. I get paid on your contributions or not. So it makes it frustrating sometimes when I'm out there working on the phones, texting, the old shoe leather method where you contact people, you physically make a phone call and check out tips, which I encourage and still ask you for if you work at a TV station or a radio or a PR something and you have an insight as to some wrongdoing or something with regards to stations, personnel, methods, incidents. I still investigate those. I don't just throw shit up on the wall. And I very much appreciate those of you who send me tips, even sometimes a little haphazard fiction as opposed to fact. I still check out. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort to go back and forth and to make sure what you're doing and what you're reporting and not opinionating is factual. I don't have elaborate sets behind me. I've got my backdrop. If I had the means, the financially to have a much more prettier backdrop, well, put two and two together, I would. The monitor behind me, a TV set, is my backdrop. And Howard Stern in the background there was somebody who I think does a hell of a job interviewing people. And I'm a connoisseur. I'm a fan. Few people left because they're all dying off. But um, I had somebody tell me, don't ever talk about these turds. You're only going to invoke more and more. I'm talking about trolls. And I by most of the time I don't. I don't even look. It's just that's who they are. They're demented individuals who they just exist to do that. But when it gets to being really disturbing and insulting to people that are should not and are not in the line of fire, like my mom, my late mom, then I get to be a little perturbed. I always say you're going to have to be very, very, very rambunctious and diligent to knock me off the air, or somebody maybe will one of these days. I'll get so pissed off, or something will happen, and I hope to God that it's civil. Because for the most part, the people that I try to cater to, the people that actually watch and like what I do, don't necessarily have to always agree with me. Those who I'm broadcasting for. Not always going to be great, not always going to be the best of trying to be funny or doing impressions of James Carville or Yul Brynner or Dick Nixon, Peter Falk. Excuse me, pardon me, am I bothering you? Because if I'm bothering you, I can. Okay, Peter Falk. It's a new one. I've been working on that one for a long time. And the McLaughlin guy, John McLaughlin. Issue number 4. We got up. Okay. I'm live. I don't have any kind of papers. I don't have little notes. Sometimes some of you say, oh, well, we wish you had notes. No, it's from the heart. I don't work well with little notes. I don't like calling it a podcast. I'm old school, a broadcast. And I take it very seriously. And of course, I get angry because that's just my personality. Of course, I'm flawed. Of course, I'm not George Clooney. But I'm here for you every day. And when I'm not here every day and battling colds and voice issues and viruses and this, that, and the other, neurosis, I still think about the next day or the next moment. And I'm glad that I'm here for you. Not always on time, not always perfect, but by golly, I'm still going to work my ass off to get the story right if I'm reporting and to offer an opinion or 2 or 3. So you have something to talk about. And if you don't agree, I encourage that. If you disagree, I'm passionate about disagreements. Wouldn't want it. Universal agreements. And we can all talk about trends in the media, local and national, and so forth. Do me a favor. Subscribe to my channel. If you can, make a contribution to my site. I live and die, metaphorically speaking, on your contributions, which enable me to do the show, which is not always going to be masterpiece theater, but I try. So for now, thank you, all of you who take the time to watch, who like what I do and dislike what I do, but are there for me in the end because you like the fact that it's unrehearsed, it's unfiltered, it's from the heart, what's left of that, and it's honest for the most part. And when it's not honest and when it's a little bit playful, it's still, I'm using third person, it, me, moi, tries to do their very best and to give you what I can give you. Thank you. Please make a contribution, and thanks for watching.